everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Veronica, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys my bullet journal setup for 2020. So here's my journal that I'm going to be using this year. I really like this one because it's the same size as my first bullet journal that I used, and then last year I did a little bit of a smaller one and I just realized that's not for me. Like, I need a bigger one. This one is dotted though, which is really nice. I do like that. So I'm going to do a quick run through of all my supplies I used to make this journal this year. It's going to be very similar to all the journals I've done before. So I've got my watercolor paint, my paint palette, then I have 2 rulers, a longer one and a shorter one, and then I have a pencil because I'm going to be doing just some sketching up before I actually take a pen and go over it, just that way I can kind of see where I want things placed and get a better idea. And then I have my black gel pen from Papermate. And then the only thing that's new, I guess, is I got these other pens these ones are from Hobby Lobby. And they just have different sizes of tips, so it helps me do finer artwork. And then finally I just have my watercolor brush pens, which are so much nicer than just a normal paintbrush. So starting off, I just have a single page in the front that's dotted, and then the other one's just more of a cover page. So I decided I was going to put my name on the front and just a little quote. So I'm just going to start off by watercolor painting some leaves in there. This is going to be kind of the theme for the whole beginning of this bullet journal. I'm going to do a green, blue, and kind of a peachy color tones. So I'm adding in the leaves, and then I'm going to do some little blue berries. So then once I finished with all the leaves, I just took a pencil and I just sketched out my name. I just wanted it to be centered, and sometimes I'm not the best at just eyeballing it. So I like to draw it out with a pen, and then I can kind of erase it afterwards, but just enough so that I can still see the pencil, so that then I just trace over that with my gel pen. Once I trace out my name, I like to go over and just thicken up some of the sides of the letters. This way it just looks a little bit more like calligraphy. I found a really cool technique for doing this, and what it is if you picture how you drew out your name or whatever you drew out, and then picture all the times you go down with the pen are thicker sides, then that's how it would work if you were doing it with a calligraphy pen. So I just thickened all the sides, which would have been down strokes, if that makes sense. So then once I finished my name, I wanted to put a little quote below here, and I wrote it out and I didn't quite like how it looked, so I decided to cover it up because it wasn't quite centered, and I really like how it turned out actually this way more than if it had worked out with just me writing it. So what I did is I just took a black piece of scrap paper, and then I took a white pen and I wrote out my little quote on there, and then I just pasted the paper onto the page. And I ripped the sides because I liked how that looked more than just a straight cut. I think it looks more rustic-y. Honestly, this is a really good way to cover up mistakes, is by taking cool scrapbooking paper and pasting it over whatever mistake you made on a page, and then it just looks so much more like a scrapbook than a plain journal. It just adds another level to your journal, I think. Then I added a few little flares on the sides to that, and that was it for my front page. And then moving on to my 2020 cover page, I already traced out 2020 with pencil just to kind of get an idea of where I wanted it. And now I'm just going to go over it with one of the finer tipped pens. And then once I had 2020 all figured out, I went around it with my watercolor pens and just started making leaves like everywhere. I really wanted this to just cover the whole outside of 2020, and I didn't have any like pattern to it. I was just randomly adding leaves. Like I said, that's really what I like about the watercolor and then doing the details afterwards, is you're really just trying to establish color right now, and it's not like it needs to be any certain shape. And when I was painting in all of this, I tried to stay away from the black on the 2020 just because I didn't want it to bleed out. Then I added in a little bit of blue, a little bit of peach, just because I wanted more color to this than just the green. If you ever have like a little bit of excess water from the watercolor paint, you can always just take a paper towel and just very gently like touch it to the water, and it'll absorb into the paper towel, and then you don't have that just sitting on your page. Then once I was all finished, I let everything dry, just because you don't want to go over the watercolor with a pen right when it's wet, otherwise you'll just have a lot of bleeding going on. But once it was all dry, it took about 5-10 minutes. It doesn't take very long. Then I went in with my pen and added in all of the detail. I've heard a lot of people say this about drawing nature, but it's a very good tip. I used to make my leaves very like precise and round looking. If you look back into my earlier stuff that I did, you can see how it kind of transitioned into what it is now. People say you don't want your leaves to look perfect because in nature, not everything is perfectly symmetrical. It's wrinkly or like bent in one way. It's not perfect, so when you're drawing it, you don't need it to be perfect. If you look at some of these leaves, you'll see they're not perfectly round. Some of them are longer, some of them have little indents, some of them are bent. It just makes it look more realistic, in my opinion. So then once I was finished with the 2020 centerpiece, I decided that this page wasn't just going to be a cover page for me. I also wanted it to be a fill out page. So what I'm going to do with this page is I'm going to add little notes throughout the years of memories and milestones. So when I open my journal of 2020 and like look back on it, when I see 2020, I can also like see other things that happened in 2020 for me. I realized for me that these bullet journals have always been something that I use to plan ahead. And then whenever I look back, it's always, I mean, I can look back and see what I did when I did it, but it's never like a memory thing for me. It's always something that I use in the moment, and then once that time has passed, I no longer have really use for it. I like keeping my journals to see the artwork in them, but really if I look back in them, there's no purpose for me to look back. So what I want to do with these journals more is make them more of a memory journal along with like a planning journal. So I can still use it to plan out my week, to have like organization, but I want it to also be a book of memories for me. So now I'm going to be making my big calendar page for the year. This is just going to have all my like little small calendars so that I can glance back at those when I'm making bigger calendars, just to see what days of the week are what numbers and how they line up. And I'm also going to try and keep a little space below that so that I can write little notes for like big things happening in that month, just so I know. I'm sticking with the calligraphy theme again. Honestly, now that I've gotten better at doing this, it's just fun to do for me. So it's like, this is kind of a fun part of the journal to fill out. I will tell you one thing I'm not good at though, and that is filling out the numbers, like the tiny little numbers for each one of those calendars. I know I messed up on like a couple of them, and if you guys actually compare them to like a real calendar, you'll see that I think like January, the days are all messed up and it's like not accurate at all. It's just so hard for me because it's like you're filling out these tiny little numbers. I tried to use the dots to like put each column in a dot row, and that worked for me like as I got filling these out, but to start it was like I messed up a couple times. So then once that page is all done, you can kind of see what I meant by having a little space below to put some things for the month. I tried to keep the calendars pretty small, which is probably why I messed up on some of them. But I like how this spread looks, and I like the space in there. So then once that was finished, I moved on to my next page, which is my goals page. You guys are going to see in my bullet journals that I have a lot of spots for goals. I just like to-do lists and goal lists. Like, it just helps me to like keep going, because I feel like instead of having this big huge goal that you are always so intimidated by, if you have like little steps towards that goal, I feel like you're more likely to accomplish that goal. So I like having like a big goal page for the year, and then a smaller goal page for each month, and then for each week. Like, just like having goals set. Same with to-do lists. I like knowing what I need to get done, because sometimes I can be kind of a space cadet, and like I forget things so often if I don't write them down, and I think I'll remember them and then I don't. And so it's like, if I want to remember it, I need to write it down, and if I want to get it done, I need to write it down. So I did calligraphy again for the goals page, and then I wanted to keep with that theme of the green with the blue and peach. So below the goals, I made a little leaf branch and just added in the blues and the peaches. Honestly, for inspiration for this kind of stuff, I definitely say you guys should check out Pinterest, because even just for like, you don't have to search bullet journals. You can search like just floral prints, just to get like color scheme ideas. I find Pinterest very inspiring for any kind of art that I do, and it's just very like, I can't come up with all of this on my own. Sometimes I'll be like going through a supermarket or outside walking, and I'll get like inspiration for like color palettes, but sometimes it's like, if you're, especially where I'm at, if you're inside and it's cold out and snowy and like you're cooped up inside all day at your house, sometimes you don't like get that inspiration. So whether it's going on Pinterest or Instagram, sometimes just going online and like seeing what other people do and not taking their work, but just getting inspiration from that. Then on the other page, I wanted to have like a nice motivational space, so I put a little quote in there, and I didn't make a mistake that I needed to cover up, but I just liked that black paper look. It's funny how you do something to kind of cover up a mistake, and then you find out, hey, I like how this looks. So I just kept going with that theme of adding in that black paper with the white pen. And my quote is, "A mistake is a success in progress." If you're afraid to make your mistakes, you're never going to experience new things or try new things or get better at things. Another goal for me this year is going to be to do some traveling. And I'm not talking like traveling to like 5 different countries and all over the US. I'm just talking like doing more traveling that I could actually do. Like, it's not gonna be crazy for me to drive an hour to go see something. I feel like I keep looking at all these like countries like, oh, I want to go to Ireland, or oh, I'd love to go to Italy. But then it's like, hey, a lot of people will say that they traveled, you know, to go see something that's 3 hours from me. And I'm like, 3 hour drive is not that long. So I want to do some more traveling, just like when I have a weekend free or when I have a few days free. So I'm making this page to show the places I went this year, and also to make a list of the places I want to go this year. Even if it's just like this coffee house, you know, this ice cream shop, or this national park. It's not like it has to be like, I'm going to this country, this country, this country, like unattainable you know, goals, or at least unattainable for me right now. I'd love to see all of these different countries. I got to see France a few years ago, and it was just so beautiful. I love the architecture there, was so amazing. Just like the people, it was just so amazing. And I'd love to go see other countries too, but I think if I just get in the mindset of like traveling where I can right now, then it's, before I know it, it'll be further and further and bigger trips. So on this page you can see I tried to paint out like a painting of a map of the world. It was just a very rough painting, nothing like very precise or very detailed. I kind of was like glancing at a map as I did it, but it wasn't very precise, and I'm sure there's a lot of countries that are like smushed together or messed up. But it's just to kind of be like a background to the lists and the notes that I write on here, because I'll probably write over like every part of this. I'll write over all the countries and stuff. And then the little check boxes that I'm making are for places that I want to try to go. Like I said, it might be this coffee house, it might be this historical monument, or go hiking in this, you know, park, or just stuff like that. And then the rest of the free space will be just like notes, like I went here and I really liked it. Just like little notes to look back on and be like, oh, that was the name of that place I went. So then for the next page, which is the last page set for this setup, is going to be photos of 2020. So I'm just going to designate this page, or these few pages, for little photos that I took in 2020. A lot of people have Polaroid cameras, and I think that's more of what this is for originally, for people to put their Polaroids on. But I do like printing out just like little wallets to scrapbook with. These are just going to be wallet size photos, and then I'll just paste them in here. You can see I'm drawing out designated spaces for where each little photo can go. I've seen a lot of people fill in like the space in that square with a month, and then they do it like month by month, like for each month they have a photo, which I think I might do, but I definitely have more than 12 spaces for photos. So I think I'll just try and do it month by month, but then also just fill in like other photos I really like maybe one month I have 2 photos I really like. You can see the way I did this is I made it look like I had fake tape holding up each of these squares. And honestly, what you could do if you want is when you put the photo in, you could take a little washi tape and put it over the corner of the photo just to give it more of a better look, because I'm not sure how this is going to look once I actually put the photos in. You can also see on some of these pages I left some free space, and that was more intentional actually, because I want to write notes or like little captions for each photo, like where it was taken, maybe a little story behind why the photo was taken. You'll notice that theme kind of throughout this journal for this year, because it's like I said, I want to do more memories, and instead of writing like a long page of like what happened that day, I feel like it's easier for me to just write little notes like this is what's happening in this photo, or this is where this photo was taken. So then I'm just adding a few little last touches to this. And then that is it for the beginning of my 2020 bullet journal. I'll do a really quick flip through just so you guys can see everything again. So we have the cover page, which just says Veronica Marie and has the little quote. Then we have 2020, the cover page, with memories in the top and milestones in the corner, and we'll fill that out as the year goes on. And then the next page is just our calendars that I can glance back at when I'm doing my setups, and also a little space for like big things happening in that month. Then we have our goals page, which I will fill out throughout the year, and also our little quote on the one side. And then we have our places I've gone this year page, which is also kind of like a places I want to go this year page, just a travel page in general, I guess. And then we have our photos of 2020 page, which we just did, which I'll fill out throughout the year. Like I said, I'm gonna do the month by month, but I didn't write each month in there because I don't know which photos will fit where to. And then I've got a little surprise. So I actually did my January setup here too. That's not going to be in this video just because I think it'd make this way too long. I'm going to have it posted as another video, which I'm hoping to have up like within the hour, maybe like a day from now at the latest. I'll have it linked at this end of this video. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe down there as well. And if you guys have ideas for setups or setups you'd like to see me do, then make sure to leave them down in the comments below. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!